is now 5 o'clock, so I am going to turn it over to Deborah Manzanares from Baylor University and Lisa Ruch from IUPUI. Thank you for being here and presenting on tips for a terrific transition.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our session. I'm Lisa Ruch, and I'm the Director of Academic Affairs at IUPUI. I've been the ALD advisor for 22 years, and here is my co-presenter.
Manzanares from Baylor University. I've been the chapter advisor since 2006, almost 14 years. And I'm also the Vice President for Finance and Long Range Planning for National Alpha Lambda Delta.
Thank you, Debbie. And with our combined 35 years of ALD experience, we've done a lot of officer transitions. So we're hoping that we can share some of our ideas with you to help you with your transitions. So first of all, let's begin by talking about choosing new officers. And that's something we do right after our initiation in the spring, but you may do it at a different time, so you'll need to adjust your timeline. One important thing to keep in mind is that you want to choose officers who have a clear understanding of the responsibilities and the tasks involved in the particular position that they're applying for. And you want to make sure that it aligns with their skills and interest. So we created a document that lists each officer position and specific bullet points with exactly what they are expected to do for each of the different positions, so that they have some time to really think about it and apply for the best position for them. And we get that out at our Pizza Palooza recruitment sessions. Our deadline is normally in March, so we hold 2 sessions in February. We call them Pizza Palooza because we have pizza, and that's how we bribe them to attend. And that is a session where we do a lot of fun things and have prizes, but the officers are also there and they talk about their positions. So we're not just trying to recruit new members, but we're trying to recruit new officers and get them interested in leadership positions. And we also send out the descriptions through our listserv that we create each year for the new members. And I talk up becoming an ALD leader at our initiation ceremony, where we do have lots of officers. And I found that the more members you get actually invested in leadership roles, the more successful that you're likely to be. And we always have more officer applications than we do positions. And I feel like it's a shame to turn away people who are qualified and really interested, but we just don't have enough positions. So just keep in mind that you can always create new positions. And we have done that over the years. With the last 2 new positions, we created a vice president of marketing and a vice president of community relations because we had applicants who would have been good for those positions, and we actually have a use for those. So we have about 22 officers altogether, including committee members. We have a service committee, a social committee, and a scrapbook committee. So you can always add on new officers by adding committee members. And then in addition to the new officers, we have student advisors, and those are officers who have done a good job and want to stay involved in a leadership role throughout their time at IUPUI. So we usually have between 10 and 12 student advisors who oversee the new officers. So we create an electronic officer application and send that out to everybody, and then they're able to submit it online. And then the new officers and the student advisors review all of those applications and decide which applicants to interview for which positions. And then we have interviews with a set of questions, and they're all about 10 minutes, and they're back to back. And then we choose our new officers. And I think it's really important that as soon as you choose the officers, you have some kind of fun event to help the old and new officers bond and get them connected and excited about being an officer. And so we do that shortly after they're selected, usually a week or two later on the weekend. And most years we do a scavenger hunt all around Indianapolis. And there are 20 to 25 different places they have to go and take pictures. And we've even had a video of our scavenger hunt that one group made that was on the national website for a while. So they really have a lot of fun with that. And we give out prizes for the best photos and videos that they create. So that's just something fun that they can do. And you see a couple of photos here on this slide where they did a selfie, and also they were jumping for joy at one of the downtown locations. Now, if you're not near a big downtown, you can do the same thing on campus easily. And you can always find places on campus that most students don't know exist. So it's fun to throw those in there for them to find on their scavenger hunt. We have had a year where the weather was horrible the day we were planning to do it. So we had to switch to an indoor game day and rotate it to different games. So that was fun too. And sometimes we've had a picnic in a park that's next to IUPUI and played outdoor games and done some activities to help people get to know each other. Now this year, COVID kind of ruined everything. So we had a virtual meeting, kind of a Zoom retreat, and we put people in breakout rooms with the outgoing and incoming officers of similar positions. So that was right after finals because we knew students were really stressed out at that time. So we didn't want to ask them to do anything until they were finished with school. And we have a poll here to ask you about your officer transition events before we move into the transition part. Do outgoing and incoming officers meet together to discuss transition? So it looks like a little over half do have a transition. So hopefully maybe some of you can share your ideas at the end with everybody. And now that we have that information, we have one more poll question to determine the level of your comfort with your transition. So it looks like the winners were pretty good at it, but lots of people think they could do better. Okay.
Just give it another second for Trish to grab it. We're trying to save all the polls. Okay, good.
Okay.
You want your third or no? Not yet. Third is later.
No, I'm just trying to, my slide is not advancing.
Your sound is a little
There we go.
shaky too, Lisa, but I think it's okay. I don't know if everyone else is experiencing your sound, Lisa. It's coming in and out, but it's okay. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm out
That's
in
okay.
the woods, so I was hoping that it wouldn't be a problem.
It's mostly good. You're fine.
Okay. So as you're making the transition, it's important to share your history with the new officers and make sure they know what things you want to hang on to from the past, certain signature events and traditions that you always do, but also encourage them to create some new events too. So we show a PowerPoint to our new officers, and we create it for the Pizza Palooza first, and then we show it again at initiation so the parents can all see what kinds of things they do. And it's really just the highlights of our previous years. So we show that, and we make sure they understand about the traditions. Like we do a Sam Strong dance every year for the whole campus in memory of a member who passed away from brain cancer, and we donate everything to St. Jude. So that's a really big production. And we want them to keep that in their minds as they go along. We also always go to a Pacers game, a basketball game in the winter, and we always participate in the ALD National Service Project. So we just want to make sure that they have an understanding of what's really important, but then we want them to create some new things too. Now, after we have that first get together at the end of the spring semester, we go on summer break. So if you do that, or if you have any kind of lengthy break after you choose your new officers, I think it's really important to keep them in touch over that break so that they'll stay motivated and engaged. And so we Zoomed all summer long, every couple of weeks, to talk about plans and just see how people are doing and come up with some ideas and plan our first meeting. Now, normally, once we're all back together in the fall, we hold a full-blown retreat, normally the first Sunday after classes start. We rent a house called Eagle's Hideaway out by Eagle Creek State Park here in Indianapolis. And so it's a great space for us. It has lots of different meeting rooms, but it also has outside trails and lots of open space. So we do that all day on a Sunday. We start out with name tags. It's very important early on to have name tags for both of our events that we do to help make the transition. Then we have lunch. Then we do lots of different icebreakers to help people learn each other's names and just get used to working with each other. So we have things inside and outside that we can do. But then we really get down to business, and we split up into work groups where the current presidents and vice presidents go with the outgoing ones, and the old social committee meets with the new social committee, and they work together and have the giant sticky notes that you can put up on the wall. And they make a list of what we want to keep from the previous year, and then all kinds of new ideas. And then we all come together at the end and stick those up all over the wall and look and see what everybody's thinking and get feedback from everyone who's at the retreat. And then sometimes we even vote on things if they come up with too many things and we have to narrow it down. So that's always very beneficial. This year, of course, everything had to be online, so we weren't able to do that, but we hope to get back to that next year. And then finally, make sure that your old and new officers exchange contact information and have a communication plan for the school year, as well as on breaks and in the summer, so that they stay in contact with each other. And have the student advisors, if you have them, serve as mentors to the new officers and actually assign them, so that as the advisor, you'll stay in touch with everybody, but then the mentors will stay in touch with smaller groups of people. So that's what we do at IUPUI, and I just want to share some photos with you, just so you can kind of see what we do. On the right, that is the scavenger hunt that we do at the end of the year. So you can see it's just all fun, and they go to like Yoga Latte and get yoga, and they have to go to a certain street sign and imitate the sign. They go to the YMCA, Comedy Sports. The indie sign that moves around town, we always find that, and they get their picture taken with that. That's out in front of our baseball field. And then we've got the deer sculpture in front of the Idle Jordan Museum where they imitate that. So it's just all really fun stuff. And they just pull people off the street to take pictures of them. And we have lots and lots of these photos. And they're also great for marketing too, to show people how much fun you have. Then on the left, we have the group shot from the officer retreat. So everybody you see in that bottom photo, those are all officers. And you'll notice they're all wearing shirts. We're combined Alpha, Lambda, Delta, and Phi Eta Sigma. So that's why you see both on the shirts. And we actually take orders for those at the initiation ceremony. They can pick their colors and short sleeve, long sleeve, hoodies, whatever they want. We also get the parents ordering them. And that's also a fundraiser for us because we charge a few extra dollars. So it helps us raise money to fund our activities throughout the year. And at the top left, you see a former president sharing what their group came up with. So each group goes up, they have a spokesperson, and they share what they came up with. And then on the right is a photo of one of our group activities where they use spaghetti and marshmallows to create sculptures. So those are just some of the things that we do at our fun retreat, and then more of our business retreat. And now I'm going to turn it over to Debbie to share with you what they do at Baylor.
So I will talk quickly. I'm just going to continue talking about some suggestions for making smooth transition from one year to the next and from one officer group to the next. I want to make sure because I know we're running short of time. If we don't get to your questions, or if we don't get to anything in chat, that will all be on the website. So don't worry about that. We'll get to the questions and we will answer them for you. Of course, the first question is, why would we invest the time, money, and energy in doing an officer transition meeting? I think after what Lisa just said, it's pretty obvious. It's pretty self-explanatory. After all the blood, sweat, and tears that the officers put into the year that they're an officer, of course, this is really their last opportunity to ensure the success of their chapter, which I know they care about deeply because they've worked very hard all during the year for that. We have found that giving worksheets with very directed questions and a variety of questions to both outgoing and incoming officers really helps them focus their ideas better. I'm going to go get these up quickly. We have found that the questions are designed to give the outgoing officers a chance to think about what worked, what didn't work, narrow down their ideas, and decide what the most important information is they want to pass along. It's also kind of a reward for all their hard work, and it's kind of a closure for them. It's the last thing they can do for their chapter.
Hey, Deb.
Oh, done?
Sorry to interrupt. I think I was maybe misinterpreting the time. So you're fine on time. You're go. You don't have to rush. You're good. I want to give it all the time you need. So go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. After the outgoing officers answer the questions on the detailed worksheet, it's pretty easy for them to take all of that information and put it into an electronic file. And that way you'll have a permanent record of all the major accomplishments that happened during the chapter year. These are some of the things that would be in the electronic file. I'll go ahead and get these up too. Okay. These questions are designed for the incoming officers to help them realize what challenges, opportunities that their new positions will have. It also helps them get excited and kind of jumpstart their planning for the coming year. They kind of get a bird's eye view from the outgoing officers about what's coming up. And the worksheet questions really help. They give the new officers an idea and a head start on feeling more comfortable and focused and informed about their new responsibilities. After the first meeting, and I know Lisa mentioned this, the first meeting in the spring, a second get together in the fall is absolutely essential because there's been such a long absence. We want the officers to get reacquainted, and we want to reinforce that they function best as a cohesive group. And with the fun activities and the get together and the food, I think that works. It always works really well. Okay. You will find these resources. One of our documents is the transitioning, and then on the website, regular website, there is an officer transition booklet that you can look at. But all of these things will be found on the National Conference website, on National ALD. Do we have time for our other poll?
Yep, just 1 second.
Okay, so what does your chapter need the most help with? Getting new members, getting them to apply, selection, facilitating, deciding what to do at the transition event, keeping your officers connected, creating an electronic document for the officers. Let us know what's the best for you. And we'll see what the poll says.
Yep, got a few. They're still coming in. So give me a few more seconds and I'll close it. Close it in 5 seconds. Last chance to vote. Okay.
Okay, so it looks like the hardest part is to get people to apply for leadership positions. And I know that Lisa talked about that. I think the more positions you have, in the past, we've done the committees, but Lisa said that in her chapter, they make those officers. And I think that helps a little bit to get people to apply for those. If you, like Lisa said, if you mention it at induction, the parents are usually there going, okay, apply for this, do this. That helps. And her video, the video also helps because it shows what you've done, and it has to get people excited about doing the same thing for the next year. That should help. Do we have time for them to tell us the best things that they do?
We sure do. So was that your last slide?
That's the last slide.
Okay.
Oh, wait, no, it's not there.
Oh, there we go.
I'd also like to throw in that I get lots of emails from students who say they'd like to be an officer, but I think we kind of overwhelm them showing everything that we do, and they think they're going to have to spend hours and hours on being an officer. And I think it helps to explain that everybody functions as a team. School comes first. So if somebody's really busy with a hard test or something coming up, there are other people who can pick up the slack. So when you have a team, you know, it's not all on one person. And so I want them to understand that it's not going to be, you know, a 20-hour-a-week job. Like sometimes they get the impression that it is. So just help them set expectations.
And I know other presentations I've mentioned, I mean, they're in school. That's the foremost thing that they're supposed to be paying attention to. But that's true. With more people, your job is not so heavy.
Right. So I think one of the questions that top concern, right, was getting students even to apply. So it's not so much, it's sort of filling the positions you have. Is that how I understood that poll? That the majority needed help with getting members to apply for leadership positions, right?
I know both of us have officer applications that we can share with them if that would help. We usually, both of us, I think, right after induction, we send out the invitation to be an officer, and they would have previously seen at the induction, at least, they would have seen the video to kind of give them an idea. But we only give them about a week to apply because we want to get them there so we can get them to see the old officers.
Yeah.
That usually works pretty well for both of us. You don't want to give them too much time because then they forget and they don't apply.
Okay. Deb, if you can go ahead and stop screen sharing, and we can see if we can have a discussion. Because I want to get back to this idea of what if you're faced with, and I hear this from advisors a lot, you're faced with nobody or not enough students coming forward. So how do you really, and we're sort of preaching to the choir in a way because you're all officers. So you all stepped up to the plate. Why did you? What influenced you? Why were you one who clicked on that link or filled out the form and applied for the position? You're all students who did. And so that might be a place to start, is think about what it was that motivated you and help other students and what you get out of it. How have you grown from this position? How has it enhanced your career prospects or your resume? What did you get out of it? And how can you translate that to convince students to apply for your open positions next year? But so any thoughts on that? Why did you apply for the positions you have? And are there thoughts on how you can help other students see that potential and why they should apply?
I'm noticing from the chat that they're mentioning that they sometimes have people nominate members maybe to be new officers.
Yeah.
We also use our officers because whatever university, they're probably going to know some of the new initiates. And we've even had officers reach out and say, hey, you would be a really good this position. Why don't you think about it?
Right.
And of course, they're usually very happy, like you just said, with their position and what it's done for them. So that's very easy. I mean, that's not the only thing, but that does help a little.
Yeah, I think I wrote an article in a Flame. Trish might know. It sounds familiar of something I wrote. The power of a tap. The power of the tap. To be tapped for something can be very, very effective. And it might be something, so you all everybody here on this conference right now, if you're struggling with your next group of students not applying for the positions, really consider that somebody that you ask personally or that the advisor asks or a faculty member, hey, you'd be really good at this. It's gonna maybe help somebody think about the position when they never would dream of taking on that position in a million years, but because they were asked or tapped or told they had potential, can be very, very effective.
And I found that our RAs have been very helpful, especially the ones in the freshman residence halls where they know people that they think would be really good and they encourage them to apply. And we found a lot of good officers that way.
Mhm. Yep, that's a great point. Something I don't want to get lost, I saw it earlier in the chat, and you've talked a little bit about this in terms of the variety of positions. You know, we used to have certain positions are just outdated, and we don't, they come and go, but somebody just mentioned mental health, awareness and helping promote mental health among high achieving students. I believe it was someone at Portland. So that's great. A great idea too, is to come up with unique, interesting, and of the time positions that students would be interested in